Hey, today we're gonna find out what comes inside this box. My name is Bruce Gilson, and thanks for joining us for another unboxing of what's inside the studio. We chose the ADJ WMX1 as our lighting controller, and we shot this video over a long period of time. We've actually been playing with this thing for quite some time. You're gonna see me in different clothes. You're gonna see the studio in different states of finishedness, but right now it's finished. So let's jump in and let's go back in time before it was done.
Flashback.
So a part of our What's in the Studio series, or what's going on in the studio, or what are we building in the studio series, we made a decision to use the ADJ WMX1 as our lighting controller. If you're familiar with this product at all, you know that this is really designed for DJs. It's designed for events. It's designed for running little light shows while you're probably also doing something else. So it's an interesting choice to make it our lighting controller for our studio. It's actually capable of a whole lot more than just simple light shows, and so that's why we picked it. But let's take a look at what it looks like when you open the box here. We're opening it up. We've got a manual at the top here. If you like watching these videos and you're like, oh, I want to know what the texture of the box feels like, probably the wrong guy, but it actually feels really nice. It's a really nice texture of a box. Anyways, so we got a manual on top. We've got some information about the controller itself, which I definitely don't want to lose that, so I'm going to put that off to this side. The controller is pretty small. It might be smaller than what you think when you see it on video. I'm gonna actually use my hand as a reference. And just if I lay my hand on top of it, I mean, you can tell my hand covers up pretty much the whole thing. It's got the, 20 buttons right here in the middle. It's got the different toggle settings that we can go into when we actually set up the system on this side. On this side, these are kind of your quick flash and trash buttons over here. A lot of people like to call this the chaos button. It adds white to stuff, and so we'll get into more about that. But anyways, it feels nice. It's got a good feel to it. We've got the ports on the back. These ports are assignable. It comes with a USB cable, and it comes with a little power adapter. One of the interesting things about this is actually all powered via USB. So, this is the power cord, and then it also lets you link the two together, and there's a lot more details. Let me give you some real quick first impressions, not specifically about what's inside the box, but why did we pick this? Why did we pick this for our studio? And why might it be the right pick for you? Not necessarily for a studio, although maybe, but especially if you're at a permanent install, something like a nightclub or whatever. One of the things about this is you can program these buttons to have specific looks. And it's over here in the preset area, and then you can create looks. So for our studio, we're typically only gonna have one look. We're gonna have our studio lighting look. And so that's why we picked this, because I can program everything down to one button. And then if I wanna set this up all by myself and I don't have anybody helping me inside the studio, all I have to do is literally boop, push one button, and all the lights are gonna turn on the way that I want them to turn on, the way that the studio is designed to turn on. That's really the number one feature, is we picked it for ourselves. We're professionals. We picked it for ourselves because of how easy it is and how easy it is to program to teach somebody else how to use it. And that might be the reason why you would want to use it in a permanent install, is because you could set this up. You don't need to teach the client how to run the whole controller. You just need to create 20 cool looks for them. And then they could have this at front of house, and they could literally just be pushing along to the music. The lights are gonna change, the effects are gonna happen, and you did all the hard work, and they've got a really easy controller. We get the question a lot, hey, what's the best software for my simple lighting rig at my club or at my restaurant or my dance floor or whatever? I'm gonna go away from software. I'm gonna go towards this device. And really it's because the haptic feedback that you get from these buttons, it feels like a MIDI controller. And if you're familiar with MIDI controllers, they're often used by DJs, they're used by video jockeys, to be able to push a button to have a lot of things happen. And that's really the look and feel that they've gone with this product. And so I like it. I think it's gonna work well. We'll get into more details of how to run it and how to change settings. But overall, it's small profile, it sits on a desk, it's a powerful device, but I can make it super easy for my clients. And so that's why I'm excited about it, and that's why we picked it for our studio. All right, so it all just powers off of a real simple USB connection. Let's watch it power up for the first time here. All right, register this key. Okay, stand by. All right, so we turned this on for the first time and it's telling us to go and activate our product, and you can't get past that screen until you activate it. So here we go, we're gonna activate this, go into wolfmix.com/activate. You want to plug your device in, make sure you're ready to do the activation, and then you're ready to actually start your project.
What follows is a brief construction montage. We hope you enjoyed this brief construction montage.
I did want to talk about something that we got to do with the WMX1 that we didn't capture video of. And I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't capture video of it, but it's worth noting, I got hired to be the LD for a charity event. And I had the WMX1, I decided, you know what, let me give it a shot. Let me see if I can put together a cool show with it. We rented 12 movers, we took the WMX1, we went to a venue. It does have 2 universes on it, and so I was able to patch the venue's lighting into one universe, and then I was able to patch all of the rented lighting into another universe, and then I just sat there and I made looks, and it was actually really simple. Once you get all of the fixtures into your patch list, it's really simple to select your fixture type, break them up into groups, use your beam effects, use color effects, and really begin to build looks very quickly. I use the live edit function on the controller to create what is basically different palettes. And then as I created all my different palettes, then I was able to take those palettes and add them on top of each other, layer them on top of each other, and that became my looks. And I created those looks, put them as presets, and then I built an entire show with a lot of different presets, and it was really fun, it was really easy. It took me only a few hours to get not only the Wolfmix set up, to get it patched, but then to create all the looks and to create the entire show. And people were amazed by the lighting show that we put together. Now, some of that is because, I've been doing lighting for a long time, but it's also a testament to how easy the WMX1 is, and it's also a testament to really how powerful it is. And that was the part that I was surprised about when I was doing a full-on show with it, that the beam effects, the strobe effects, the color effects, all of it was just like really easy. And then I was able to jump into the effect screens and really kind of fine tune the speeds and everything to make it match the music really well. And I would encourage you, if that's something that you do, that you use, or you go out and you do lighting for gigs, you can put this in your arsenal. You don't necessarily have to have a large console to pull off a great show. So if that's you, if you get hired to do some lighting gigs and you don't necessarily want to bring out a big console, you don't have to. This thing's really powerful, it can do a lot, and it's pretty simple to get a show up and running. So now we have our WMX1 set up on our desk inside of our studio, but I want to use the nonprofit file as our reference file to talk through a couple of the powerful things that this controller does offer. So if we first take a look, this is fully set up, the file is turned on. First, let's take a look at our patch list. It's a touch screen. Hit the little fixture at the top, that gets you into your patch list. And I can scroll with this control knob to see exactly what my patch list looks like. Now, on my patch list for this show, we had Rogue RX1 spots. And we started that at Universe 1, Channel 1. So you can see that there. And then they were in 16 channel mode. And so we have one at 1, 17, and then we've got it at 33. And I'll show you how to add those in just a second. But this is after we already added it. The show also had some Colorado Dash battens. So you can see those started at 302 in Universe 1. And we connected those. We also had a hazer on this show, and so there's the Amaze Haze, and we put that at channel 500. Now, if you were going to add some fixtures, you're real simple. You would come over here to your plus button, you hit add, and there's going to be a library. Now, there is a generic way to add fixtures that are not in the library. I would highly encourage you to use library fixtures. There are some limited functions that you're going to find if you add a generic fixture. That's going to come more into when we get into the effects portion of the board. But if you can find it in the library, make sure you get it in the library. And if it's not there, update the library first before you just create a generic fixture. We could look down and we could find, let's say that we're going to add ADJ 12P hex. This is just a hypothetical. And it's going to down here ask you how many of those do you want to add. So we're going to add 4 of those to our show. And we're going to click on that. And then it's going to ask you what channel mode your fixtures are in. Now, when I was talking about the Spot RX1s, I said those are in 16 channel mode. If you don't know much about lighting, every single light has different modes that it can run in. And for the example that we have here, let's just say we're going to run these in 6 channel mode, which is mode 1. So I'm going to click on this button. Actually, I guess it's touchscreen. Click on the top. And then it's going to ask me what group do I want to put it in. Now, groups are really important on the WMX1 because groups is how you begin to build different looks and make it easy for you to access. So you need to think of like what fixtures are like each other. Not just the same model of fixture, but if you've got 2 different fixtures, but they serve a similar function inside your light show, you would want to put them in the same group so that when you grab that group, all the fixtures that do that in that group are there for you to be able to begin to make changes and make effects. So I actually don't know what the 12P type of light is, and I don't remember, but let's just put it in group D, okay? Group D, and now it's gonna recommend that I start those at 193. And so what the controller has done is it has found a block of addresses that's available based on the criteria that I've given it. And it's saying, hey, I think you should start at 193, and then you're gonna do 199, 205, and 211. If you're not familiar with DMX addressing, you're definitely gonna wanna be familiar with it, because once we accept that, we're gonna then have to go change our fixtures to that DMX address so that the controller can control our fixtures when they're all connected. So we're gonna say, yeah, I like it, thanks for the recommendation. Then you hit the ADJ button to confirm. If we scroll down to the bottom of our fixture list, we can see the 12P hexes have been added to our profile. Now, if we go back out, this is the home screen. This is what it looks like when you set it up, and you can see we have group A, group B, group C, and group D, and those groups correspond with the buttons that are below. The reason it's really important that you put like fixtures with each other in the same group is because the controller will identify what fixtures have different abilities. And if you have a moving head fixture, it has Move FX ability built into it. If it's only LED RGB fixtures and color changing, then the color effects will pop up and be available for that group. Beam effects, dimmers, all of those different abilities of the fixture is why you really want the same group, the same type of fixtures in the same group. Now, it's real simple to begin to make changes. When you change your rotary here, you can see my dimmer value is going up, which if we had those fixtures live, those fixtures would be getting brighter and brighter. If I push the button, it can go to blackout or it goes back to its regular value. I can scroll it down to make it back to 0. I can scroll it up to make it as bright as I want. Additionally, I can begin to get inside of the different effects of what those fixtures are capable of. So when I hit the move effects, I activated the move effects. But in order to change the move effects, I have to go over here to the move effects, click on that, and then it's going to give me all my different effects options. There's a lot of options inside this little controller. It's really powerful. We're not going to go through all the options, but if I want to change the speed of the movement that's happening, if I want to change its phase control, meaning the different fixtures that it's giving off, I can change my phase control, I can change the size. When you're talking about a moving effect, it's like the size of the sweep, how big, how small is it sweeping. And then fade colors or fade intensity can be here too. Now, that's a crazy 8 setting. There's also sweeping up and downs on the pan movement. There's tilt, moving back and forth. There's movement where it begins to go around in circles. I'm pretty sure Crazy 8 is a figure 8 that it's doing. You've got the genie in a bottle setting that you can do. You can do the John Travolta dance setting there. There's a lot of different options. And it was a lot of fun for me when I was doing the show to just sit there, punch through stuff, and really get an idea of what it was all about. Now, let's go back to our home, and we also have beam effects. Beam effects is, imagine that there's an iris on every light, and that iris is making adjustments and changes. Well, that would be what a beam effect is for any light. So if it's an LED light, it's not actually controlling an iris, it's just controlling the intensity levels of the light. If it does have an actual iris, like a large moving head fixture, it's going to be changing the iris of the light. So that's what your beam effects are. Now, once again, when you're on the home screen and you select beam effects, you're turning it on. If you want to change the beam effects, you have to go into the beam effects, and then you have a whole nother slew of effects that you can do specific to the beams. We've got this wave that's going to be kind of an up and down. This one looks like it's going to do something that is associated with sparkling. This is going to be a chase back and forth. Once again, we got John Travolta. We got heartbeat. The thing that's interesting about the WMX is it actually has a built-in microphone. And that built-in microphone can listen to the beat of the music, and you can tell all of your fixtures to behave together to the beat of the music by all of them being connected to one microphone. It's pretty common in especially lower end fixtures that a DJ would set it up and every single fixture might have its own microphone and every fixture is listening to the music and it's doing a light show. The problem with that is that they're not talking to each other. So if they're not talking to each other, then it just looks like a bunch of random lights flashing. The advantage to doing it inside of your controller is that now they're all listening to the same mic and they're moving and changing together. So that's kind of a cool feature that they've created inside of this. Once again, the options go on and on and on inside this WMX1. You can do pretty much anything. All right, so that's all about effects. But we can also change the color of our lights. So we have the color button. The color button is going to give us different like standard buttons, different standard colors that we can add to our lighting, or we can also customize the color itself. So when you hit the color button, it's going to give you standard colors for you to choose from. And the colors on the screen up there also correspond with the buttons down below. So if I want to turn on amber, I can hit the amber button. If I want to turn on magenta, cyan, UV, pink, and then there's also another page. So this is 1 through 5, here's 6 through 10. But what if I want a custom color? I want some specific color. Well, I can say shift white, and now I'm gonna custom build whatever color I want into this particular button. So I don't want white in my show. I would actually prefer to have green in my show, or let's do a version of green that doesn't match the other green that's in it. I select that, I hit the button again. Now I have my custom color in that button and I can select it. In this particular show, what I did is underneath Live Edit, I created a bunch of different looks. And that's what you're gonna see here is I've got near focus, where I wanted my lights to be focused in one specific position. I've got curtain center, gobo slow, dots on the walls. Those are all different looks that I created. So once I have a look that I wanna create, I hit Shift and then I select where I want that to save to, and then I have to tell it what fixtures I want to control. So in this example, we're gonna change these 4 RX1s. Select the 4 RX1s, and then we have to edit the parameters of those fixtures. And then this is gonna tell it, hey, no matter what's going on in the show, when I hit this button, I only want these things to change. I don't want you to change anything else. So we go into the parameters and we want to change, let's say, our pan value. So we take our pan value and we're moving our fixtures into space and we want them to stop at 71. But we also want to change the gobo from gobo 31 value to gobo 0 value. We're gonna select that. We're gonna go back, that's the changes we wanna make, and then we have to name it something that actually makes sense. It has to make sense to us because we need to know when we hit this button what's gonna happen. So if I left it as edit 9, that's not gonna make sense. I don't know what that is. So what I wanna change it to is, let's say that our movers are looking at wall north open. Hit select or hit enter, then hit the button one last time, and now you'll see there it's called wall north open. So I know that when I hit that button, it's gonna go to the north wall and the iris is gonna be open. Now that's assuming that that's what we actually set it to, but that's what we've got. So that's a simple way to create your different live edit looks. And then you've got multiple pages of your live edits, so you can create a bunch of different looks on here. Then the looks begin to stack on top of each other, and that's really where the magic begins to happen, because after I create all my looks, then I can say, okay, I want my curtain down look, I want to have the thrust on, and I want to have everything in green blue. That's the look that I want to have. And when I go over to my presets, I can save that look into one of my presets. So once again, I hit Shift, I hit the button, it's gonna say, hey, what do you wanna call this? I wanna call this, that's my walk-in look. Click walk-in, and now I've created a button. So when I want all of those live edit changes to happen at one time instead of step by step, I just go to my presets, I hit walk-in, and that's the look that I've got. Now, on my presets button, I have 5 different pages. And so for this particular show, I decided I was gonna put most of my effort into song 1, which is the opening of the show, and I was gonna put all of my other effort into the last song, and then I was just gonna create general looks in between so that it felt like it was a cohesive show, a well-designed show, but in reality, we're just creating a couple of big moments. So page 1, I had my walk-in look, I had my pre-song look, and then I had different cues for the first song, and I can click on all of that stuff and just follow along to the music. I can set fade times, I can set movement times, speed times, everything to just really make it seamlessly flow. There were actually some cues that I put 30 seconds of fade time because that's how long I wanted the cue to last. You can create a hold. There's just so many things that if we got into all the details, we'd be here for a while. But I encourage you, get in and play around with it, and you're gonna learn really how powerful this controller is. Now, on page 2, that's where I created all the other looks for all the other songs, but I went ahead and I programmed the last song second, so I did the first song first and then I did the last song second. So I went ahead and just dumped it on page 5. And those are my cues for the last song. I named them all so I knew what to click at what time of the song. And then I went backwards, I ended up only creating looks on page 2 for all the other songs combined. We haven't even talked about this side of the controller. You can set your speeds. If you want to do like a flash and trash show, you can set it to BPM, where once you set all your effects, you have them looking at the BPM of the controller, and then while you're playing the music, or while the music is playing and you're starting your light show, you're just clicking your BPM button, and it knows the speed of the music, and then it times the effects to that speed of the music. You have strobe effects, blinder effects, speed. You can adjust speed. You can hit the blackout button and everything is gonna go dark. You have an independent button for you to be able to control your smoke and haze. You have to set all that stuff, but it's really powerful. And then there's the ADJ button. Now the ADJ button is like the chaos button. It just does a whole lot of random stuff, and it's kind of this like big moment of, hey, I just want my lights to do everything that they're capable of in no like specific order. And so the ADJ button can be a lot of fun, or also can be like overwhelming. It kind of depends on what all you have going on inside your show. So I really think that this controller is really unique in the marketplace. And typically I try to think about what else is on the market that can compete, or that products sit next to, and how do they work together? And I'm not positive right now that there's anything in the market quite like this WMX1, because of really how powerful it is for its price point and what it's capable of. You can also link multiples of these together and get more universes by linking them together. I mean, it's like, it can do a lot for a very small price point. So what's the right application for this product? Well, you're not gonna use this product if you're trying to do theater, if you're trying to do musical Broadways, if you need to be able to have a lot of faders and be able to control those faders and just kind of like get a good feel for how you want your show to go. That's not this. This is really, you're gonna have to preset it up. And then once you preset it up, it can do a lot in the programming phase, and then it makes it super easy in the running phase. Like I said at the beginning of the video, nightclubs where they've got a dance floor with a lot of different fixtures, I think that's a really cool application for this, that I can put this at a front of house, I can create a ton of looks for the client, and then they don't need to feel like they need to know a ton about lighting in order to make a great light show happen in their club. They just can go hit buttons. Also, if you're like a rental house and you often send out lights and you set up small packages, this could be a really cool controller to send out with that for those packages. Once again, you create the whole look that you want inside your shop, put it all in the buttons that you want, and then when you go send it out, you're just simply hitting a different color for whatever your uplighting is, or what simple looks are. That could be a really powerful way to do this as well. It kind of can do a lot of things, and that's what makes it so cool. So maybe this is where you get creative. You start thinking, what kind of projects are you getting yourself involved with? And when you do that, ask yourself the question, is the WMX1 possibly the right controller for you? So what's great about this? Well, what's great about it is small form factor, a lot of power of what it can pull off, great price point for what it can do, pretty simple to learn how to operate. It's got a lot going for it, to be really honest with you. It's a pretty powerful controller. Now, what's wrong with it? Well, what's wrong with it is that you don't get any of the traditional faders. You can't set a look and then kind of get a good feel for yourself of how you want to make those changes and have a fader where you're making that control. You know, a lot of times lighting is really about following the mood of the room. And if that's the type of environment you're trying to use this for, well, it's not gonna do that really well because everything has to be pre-set up and pre-timed. So if you're creating an environment where you either know exactly what's gonna happen at what time, or it can be a little bit more disconnected and just poppy, well, I think this is a great controller for that. If you're trying to do music theater, probably not the best fit for that environment. My overall thought, this is a great controller, and I would encourage you to really consider it on your next project. Now, we have it in our studio, and our studio is set up very simply, and we don't really change the lighting all that much, but we still love this controller because we push one button to turn everything on, we push one button to turn everything off, and it really takes all the thinking out of how to turn on our studio because we have it all preset and pre-programmed. That's why we love it, and it was at a great price, and we're really impressed by what ADJ has done here with this controller. We hope that you learned something, and we hope that you want to learn more. And the best way to learn more is make sure you stay subscribed. Also hit like, send us a comment. If you got a question, something I didn't cover, make sure you put it in the comments and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. We also have more videos coming out about our studio. Make sure you stay tuned because it's all coming. And if you missed our behind the scenes studio build, click here.